Today, I will show you the AI Web Application Tutor, and I will start with the first uh, screen here. The guided self-learning of all foreign language skills simultaneously became possible because of the discovery of subconscious training. The traditional education system offers us conscious training. It suggests that learners can memorize vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, and other English skills separately. But it's not the case because we know that the memory has one great feature, property. It forgets everything. In 30 days, we forget about 90% of all information that is incoming into our uh, existence, into our brain. So the conscious learning is an obsolete and inefficient approach, and it should be disrupted. The synergy of AI Web Application Tutor, acronym AIWAT. I will use in this demo the word AIWAT. Each time I will mean AI, that is artificial intelligence-based web application tutor, for developing fluency in any foreign language is ensured by merging three innovations. One, the unprecedented capability of generative AI to create personalized lessons. Two, the patented subconscious training in English skills. This method is applicable for self-training in any foreign language. Three, the self-learning revolution is a new paradigm of education for adults that completely disrupted our interaction with information. It's interesting that self-learning revolution came with a buzzword, don't teach me, let me learn. Because when you are learning, you are capable to use subconscious training, and it is much faster. So this prototype of the AIWAT is based on three pillars, which are shown here, and I explained them here. Main features of AIWAT. The learner creates personalized lessons using AI in any pair of target native languages. Patented subconscious training, will say a few words what that means, and guided self-training of all foreign language skills simultaneously. So you do not learn words separately, or vocabulary, or grammar, or pronunciation. We learn all those skills simultaneously. Subconscious training, I have developed and patented it recently, and so it is not known by most teachers. And I will just explain in a few words why does subconscious training work. Non-trivial answers to trivial questions. For example, if you ask now any teacher or learner, does my fluency depend on how many words I know? The answer is no. My answer is no. You will probably disagree with it first, but listen to the end of this presentation. Does my fluency depend on my knowledge of grammar? My answer is no. Does my fluency depend on my pronunciation? No. Does my fluency depend on how much I read? No. And so on and so forth. We practically respond to any question differently. What we think is logical, it is not because we use a wrong system for learning a language. Conscious system is the wrong system. Let's start using the right system. So a few words again about conscious versus subconscious. Our system, our mind, has two systems. One conscious, and it has the following features: appalling forgetting curves, cross-translation problems. Because when you learn consciously, you continue thinking in your native language and you try to translate in your head quickly enough to understand and to being able to communicate. It's extremely difficult, and it's not very many students can do it. Inability to think in the target language is a feature of conscious system. Teacher-driven instruction is always characterized by passive approach. You cannot be active when you just listen to instructions of your teacher and try to remember what your teacher tells you. Subconscious training is a different system. It was never used before for learning languages, and I will explain now why we should start using it. First of all, the key to subconscious training is simultaneous repetition. What that means is you read the text, listen to the voice of the text reader, and speak simultaneously. When you perform three actions at the same time, you automatically activate subconscious part of your mind. Why? Because consciously we can do only one or two actions. And if you place yourself in an environment when you have to do three actions at the same time, reading, listening, and speaking, then you automatically activate subconscious training. So when you follow my instructions, you will always be sure that you do use a new approach. You do use a second part of your mind. You use subconscious training. Self-learning revolution is an active process of learning. Learners develop fluency and the ability to think in the target language. Self-direction and personalization ensure motivation and success. Although it is self-learning, however, it does not mean that actually you can, as a learner, you can use it for self-learning and you don't need teachers. The opposite is true. That is, you do use self-learning, but you need your teachers even more because this approach is so different from everything what you have heard or done before that you have to be guided in this new environment. The only difference is that it would be great if a teacher learns this method, understands the foundation of subconscious training, and helps you to follow it and answers the questions and creates environment for your self-learning. Because doing it on your own would be extremely difficult. You practically have to do everything opposite of what you were doing before. Personalized lessons. AIWAT incorporates the ChatGPT API plugin for creating personalized lessons. Here to the right, you see an example of such personalized lessons. And it means that you use ChatGPT. I now explain and then I will demonstrate. You use the query. For example, create a lesson in English in 500 words about AI for a fifth grade student. Provide a translation into Russian. First of all, of course, you understand that query may be very different. Actually, in our demo, I use a different query because Nathan asked me to do a lesson about something about dentistry. So any query can be used, and any topic in any language can be created as a personalized lesson and translated into any native language to support you when you need it. AIWAT opens a personalized lesson with the read aloud function and control speech rate. Read aloud function, it's a pity that teachers don't know it and don't use it, although it is built into any word application. And it has such an appearance. Those are the control buttons of read aloud function. It allows first to create the speed of reading. And at the beginning, you have to have a speed by about 30% less than natural speech because you have to use headsets. You have to hear very clearly, and it should be pronounced clearly in a near native voice. When you click on this button, it will start reading this lesson in a voice which as if it was recorded by a voiceover. Now, what is most important that you not only create personalized lessons, but you use 6 special drills which you use to work on the lesson which we create. First, listen to the recording in the native language with your eyes closed. I will explain why you need to close your eyes. When you listen to the recording, and of course it goes without saying that AIWAT or AI creates translation into any native language. It creates into Russian, Japanese, French, whatever language you choose, and it automatically determines the language. And when you will transfer this created personalized lesson into your Word program, you will have the option to listen to the recording in your native language with your eyes closed. When you close your eyes, you free about 60% of your brain power used for visualization. And that freed energy is used to visualize the story. So the lesson which you will learn in English only, of course, first you use to visualize the story given, and then all other drills will be done, of course, in English. Second drill, listen to the recording in the target language, in our case in English, and follow the text without pronouncing the words. So you familiarize with the words first, and you find which words you know, which words you don't know, and you just prepare your brain, your subconscious training, to working on the main drill of subconscious training. The next drill, highlight the whole sentence with an unknown word and translate it into the native language. So if you don't know the word uh, synergy, you highlight the whole word, the whole sentence with that word and translate it. Then you will understand that synergy is a combination of features which are much stronger than each feature separate. And you do not try to remember it. You just visualize it, you understand it, and you know that synergy is a combination. So those are three drills which you start at the beginning, and there are three more drills. Drill 4, that is the main drill. Read the text, listen to the reading software, and speak simultaneously. That what ensures your simultaneous repetition or subconscious training. This is the most important drill, and we'll demonstrate how to do it on a real lesson in a few minutes. You may do many repetitions of the lesson until you can do it easily and without omissions. First, you may omit a few words, but with each new repetition, you will able to produce more and more words. And finally, you will be able to read the text, listen to the reading, and speak simultaneously. You will need to do maybe 10 repetitions, but it is not difficult. It is not boring because the lesson is always emotional, is a lesson which you created for yourself, which is interesting to you, and because you do not try to memorize anything, you are just training. So repetition is an easy, active activity which will help you to develop the language. Remember, language is like a muscle. You must train it. And training, the best, is done in drill 4, reading, listening, and speaking. After you have done enough repetitions, you click the record button and read aloud the text without listening to the reader. Then, when you recorded your own reading, you listen to it. If you're satisfied, you can share it with your teacher or tutor, your friends, or if you are not satisfied, you can re-record it. It's very important to record and to listen to it, but do not analyze your pronunciation. And very, very important, you must always use headsets. Never use it as a background, never. Even if you are doing something and you want to use it as a background, still wear headsets or earphones. The drill number 6 is develop fluency and measure it quantitatively by flow speech fluency testing. Fluency is the ability to speak fluently, that is freely, that is automatically, without trying to remember something or remembering or recalling words. You have a feeling or thought which you want to verbalize, and you have to speak fluently. We use fluency in our native language. In our native language, by the way, we always speak subconsciously, that is, without conscious control. And of course, when you learn English, you should always develop fluency and you will be able to speak fluently, that is, without conscious control, in about a year if you regularly will use IWAT for your subconscious training. Here is an example of IWAT for learning French. You may learn French or Hebrew or any other language because you can create a query in any language which you want to learn. You may even learn two languages at the same time, and you may be at different levels. You may learn English being on intermediate level and long Hebrew being a beginner or vice versa. It doesn't matter. So it shows you that there is very unique, unprecedented capacity of IWAT to learn any foreign language could be easily implemented by you even before IWAT is created as a commercial product, because I will demonstrate all the features and you can follow them on your own. Now, I mentioned before about fluency, and now I want to explain you in a few details flow speech fluency testing. I have a special program which I can share with you afterwards, after the Zoom and after recording will be made. In this program, you will see the word on the screen, which appears randomly, and you have to create a few sentences from your experience, which will show me that you understand the meaning of this word. It doesn't need to be a translation or explanation what is breakfast. You have to demonstrate your ability, and not only demonstrate, but to develop your ability to speak automatically. For example, breakfast. I thought that breakfast should be very light and should be always preferably done at the same time. But recently I have found a new theory which tells me that the breakfast must be more substantial than the lunch, and I was really surprised, etc., etc. It doesn't mean what you say. What means is that you show me ability of you to create and to share your experience by using this word. You will click on this button and the next word will appear. And you continue doing so to 20 or 30 words. And finally, we can determine thus the speed, which in words per minute, which you can produce. Actually, to communicate fluently, you must be able to produce about more than 2 words per second. Keep that in mind. And if you do it consciously, it's not possible. You have to do it automatically, subconsciously. And this program will help you to achieve this objective. I would like to mention that in this context, I use a few new definitions. Language learning occurs when known symbols of the language of thoughts are wired directly to new words of a target language. It may be difficult to understand first, and I want to explain that if you are asked in which language do you think, most people will answer, of course, I think in the native language or in that language in which I speak. Actually, it is not true. It is not possible. It was scientifically proven that we All, irrespective of how many languages we speak, we think only in one language, and that is called language of thoughts. The language of thoughts, it has a scientific name, mentalese, according to Steven Pinker from MIT. In his book, The Language Instinct, he explained to us that we do not think in any particular language. We think in language of thoughts, which for native speakers is wired directly to native words. And that's why when you try to verbalize, the words appear automatically or subconsciously without recalling, without attempts to recall. But if you are in a dream, that is when you use in pure form the language of thought, and you do not use your native language. Although when you then try to tell your dream, you use your native language. In other words, we have to language. Remember that language of thought we always have. We are adults. We use language of thought. Our objective now when we learn a new language is to wire the new English words directly to our thoughts, that is, to our symbols of language of thoughts, that is, to our feelings. And this new definition of language learning changes everything. Fluency, the second new definition, determines intelligibility and the ability to speak automatically. Very high fluency scores are required to pass English proficiency tests. Fluency is independent of pronunciation, grammar knowledge, or vocabulary, and is best acquired through subconscious training, which I explained above. Corrective feedback should be avoided since it activates conscious learning. Even if a learner makes a mistake, we should not correct him. And that is very difficult to understand to teachers because all teachers think that their objective is to give feedback. Because they think that if they give feedback, learners will remember it and they will learn a language this way. It's wrong. Although it was a truth which was considered true for 100 years, but if we take into account the new knowledge, and there is tons of proof which tells us that we need subconscious training, and in subconscious training we need implicit feedback, that is indirect feedback. And if you want to give indirect feedback, you may, for example, repeat what the learner said, but don't make stress what is right, what is wrong, because the learner does not have a filter to remember what is right and what is wrong. He will just listen to you and he will copy to you. So implicit feedback through fluency testing score is highly motivating. What is interesting that AIWAT could be used for research. For example, if you want to know what is the difference between formal and intuitive grammar, when you learn English consciously, you learn formal grammar. You try to remember grammar rules. And teachers try to explain to you grammar rules in a simple way to demonstrate it to you, but those are grammar rules, formal grammar rules. There is another type of grammar. It's called intuitive grammar. And you can ask AIWAT, what is the difference between formal and intuitive grammar, and AIWAT will tell you. Intuitive grammar is used by native speakers subconsciously. It acts like a feeling what is right, what is wrong. After multiple repetitions, by developing your language muscle, by doing simultaneous repetition many times, you develop intuitive grammar and you speak by collocations, by word chunks specific to English, and you will speak correctly. In conclusion, AIWAT is the first application for acquiring any foreign language using AI, subconscious training, and guided self-learning. Those are three pillars of the AIWAT. I offer comprehensive technical specifications and free technical support to any company interested in creating a commercial product based on the ideas presented here. Additionally, I am offering free licensing to my 2 patents on subconscious training for English language skills. That ends my presentation, the theoretical part of my presentation, and now I will show you how you can do all those features on your own and how you can implement AIWAT even before it is created as a commercial product, because just watching and following this recording, you can easily do all those 6 drills on your own, or even better, with the help of your tutor. So we start, I use, here you see bar.google.com. That is artificial intelligence, which I use. You can use any other one. I like this one because it is simple, it is free, and it also includes translations into any native language of your choice. So here is the query. Create a story for beginner English learners in 400 words based on humor stories in a dentist office. Then translate this story into Russian. You see that this story is created here. You can scroll it and see that the whole story is created. It's about 400 words. It's about 1 or 2 pages of text, so we don't need more for the first lesson. And you see that after that goes the Russian translation. When you have created the personalized lesson of your choice, you transfer it into a Word document. Here I have put the same text, personal lessons. It's shown here. And what is remarkable that each Word file has this function, read aloud function. And those are control buttons. Remember, if you click on this button, you see reading speed. I have selected a little bit below the natural speech so that it would be easier for you to understand this lesson and to do simultaneous repetition. Okay, so now let's remember, let's go to all our drills. Do you remember drill 1? Listen to the recording of the native language with your eyes closed and visualize the story given. Focusing on one task, listening, helps quiet the mind and allows for greater mental clarity and visualization abilities. You may do it a few times. If you need to see the original text, open your eyes.
Жил-был мальчик по имени Билли, который боялся стоматолога. Он слышал множество страшных историй об иголках, сверлах и неудобных процедурах, и он не мог вынести мысли о том, что кто-то будет ковыряться у него во рту. Однажды зуб Билли начал ужасно болеть. Он знал, что ему нужно идти к стоматологу, но он так боялся, что пытался игнорировать боль так долго, как мог. Наконец, боль стала слишком сильной, и он неохотно записался на прием.
I will stop it here, and I assume that you listen to the recording now, right? So that is now that is the first drill, and so you can do it a few times until you feel comfortable. You understand what the lesson will be about, and then we go to drill 2. Listen to the recording in the target language and follow the text without pronouncing the words. I will also demonstrate a few paragraphs in this drill.
The Dentist and the Tooth Fairy. Once upon a time, a young boy named Billy feared the dentist. He had heard all sorts of scary stories about needles, drills, and uncomfortable procedures, and he couldn't bear the thought of having someone poke around in his mouth. One day, Billy's tooth started to hurt terribly. He knew he had to go to the dentist, but he was so scared that he tried to ignore the pain for as long as he could. Finally, the pain became too much to bear, and he reluctantly made an appointment.
So that is the drill 2. You just watch the text, you hear to it, and you do not repeat so far. Now, the drill 3. If you see unknown words, highlight the whole sentence and translate it into native language using the Google Translate program. So if you find here the word uncomfortable and you don't know it, you highlight the whole sentence and translate it. Thus, you prepare yourself before you can start doing the main drill, drill 4. And now we come to drill 4. Drill 4 is the central drill of AIWAT. Read the text in the target language, listen to the read aloud program in the earphone, and speak simultaneously with it. The display has play, pause, stop, and loop buttons. It also has a slider controlling recording play speed from 0.7 to 1. What I am talking about is this button. This is speed control. And by the way, if it is too fast for you, you can make it more slowly. Or if you are ready to a more natural speech tempo or rhythm, then you increase the speed. Now, I will demonstrate to you how to do drill 4. So you will listen to read the text, listen and repeat.
The Dentist
The
and the
Dentist
Tooth
and the
Fairy.
Tooth Fairy.
Once upon a
Once
time,
upon a
a
time,
young
a
boy
young
named
boy
Billy
named Billy
feared the
feared
dentist.
the dentist.
He had
He
heard
had
all
heard
sorts
all
of
sorts of
scary
scary
stories about
stories about
needles,
needles,
drills,
drills,
and
and
uncomfortable
uncomfortable
procedures,
procedures,
and he
and he
couldn't
couldn't
bear the
bear
thought of
the
having
thought of
someone
having
poke
someone
around in his
poke
mouth.
around in his mouth. What I have found now is that I think this is a too high speed. So what if we'll just do it a little bit slower and continue with a different speed? First, it will also demonstrate your ability to control reading speed.
He knew he
He
had to
knew
go to
he
the
had to go to
dentist,
the
but he
dentist,
was so
but he was
scared
so
that he
scared
tried to
that
ignore
he
the
tried to
pain for as
ignore the
long as
pain
he
for as
could.
long as he could.
Finally, the
Finally,
pain
the pain
became too
became too
much to
much to
bear,
bear,
and he
and he
reluctantly
reluctantly
made an
made an
appointment.
appointment.
On the day of
On the
his
day of his
appointment,
appointment,
Billy
Billy
arrived at
arrived
the
at the dentist's
dentist's
office
office with
with
his
his
heart
heart
pounding.
pounding.
He
He
tried
tried
to
to distract
distract
himself
himself by
by looking
looking
at
at
the
the
colorful
colorful
posters
posters on the
on the
walls,
walls,
but
but nothing
nothing
could
could ease
ease
his
his
anxiety.
anxiety. I,
When Billy was finally called in,
I stopped it now just to show you that this is the main drill, and you see how you have created your lessons and how you can do it. So in this drill, you prepared your mind to do subconscious training. And this drill, for the main drill, after those many repetitions, you will be able to speak subconsciously, automatically. That is the main objective of this new approach, and you see how easy it is. Drill 5. It's obvious. I just remind that you click the record button and can record your pronunciation and share it with your teacher or with your friends. Drill 6 is about developing fluency and measuring it quantitatively. I have shown you how it is done. If you would be interested in, maybe it's a bit difficult from the very beginning to grasp all 6 drills. So just start by doing 5 drills, and when you will be comfortable with all those 5 drills, we may start using a special additional program, which I will share with you for flow speed fluency testing. And you will be able not only to develop your fluency, but also to test it. And that is basically all what I was going to share with you. And now, if you have any questions, I am ready to answer your questions. I'm recording this, so you will have the recording, and you can always come back and listen to those parts which you do not understand and become an expert in this method so you can teach everybody else, your friends, relatives. Sophie, you can teach by this approach your other students and become much more successful. And because nowadays, first of all, it's much easier to use this method because what we know absolutely for sure, there's absolutely no way that you can teach English. By the way, many, many years ago, one Russian linguist published a book called uh, You Cannot Be Taught English. And what he had in mind that you can learn English by yourself if your teacher knows how to. And if your teacher gives you correct methodology, but just transferring knowledge from teacher to student, what everybody is trying to do now, doesn't work. It's inefficient. It was used for 100 years, but it is much more efficient when students become self-learners. They took it into their own hands and they used the most powerful part of their brain. They were using this part, left part, and now they're using the other part of the mind, the most powerful subconscious mind. By the way, do you understand that subconscious mind processing speed is 500,000 times faster? It doesn't forget anything. It records everything automatically, so there's no need to remember anything. What you do need is to do enough training so that your subconscious forms those patterns and forms the direct wiring, remember, between symbols of your language thoughts and English words without using translation into native language. It's not possible to translate from a native language and to speak in another language. Languages are very different, but the mechanism of speech is the same. Automatic speech requires the English speech center in the brain, and it can be formed only subconsciously by following all those drills.
I
Any
can
other?
I can say that I have a problem in the field that my consensus subconscious um, not feel haven't normal and no communication with English. And for the first step, I tried your methodology in 3 months, and I can give feedback after to you and to my tutor how it worked for me, how it helped me. I will try it doing every day in I guess one lesson in half hour for
Yeah,
start.
it would be absolutely great, fantastic, but also during this 3 months process, you can write down all questions which you have or encounter, ask Sophia, your tutor, or send the question to me, and we'll discuss them and correct you if you deviate from the methodology. Yeah, Sophia, what is your first impression? I understand that you are a professional teacher and you hear this new method for the first time. What is your first impression?
First of all, I'm so sorry because probably I don't know, my phone or maybe my internet is lagging all the time. That's why I'm really waiting forward to getting a recording from you. But what I heard is pretty much, it's familiar for me because I heard that you used some ideas of Daniel Kahneman. I heard your ideas about chunks, and of course, I try to use it a lot. But to tell the truth, I didn't quite catch how can we use it for pure beginners, like a zero, or if you see what I mean, even less when people know any word. So maybe I should try to use it so that I could understand it clearly and completely.
Sophia, thank you. It's a very good question. First of all, what I did mention, and I want to stress now, this new method has a paradox. You, as a teacher, cannot implement it. Uh, don't be scared, because it's a bit of exaggeration. What I mean is you can use it by using the application, because as a teacher you cannot create an environment where a learner would read the text, listen, and speak at the same time. However, you can use it from even beginners. And by the way, I do have the previous version of the application, which you can download from Android application and use it with your students even now, and even with the beginners, because the first lesson starts with the first sentence: I can count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. You live
Yeah,
as
it was
long as
actually.
you love. You understand. It's
Uh-huh.
for absolute beginner. What is fantastic here is that if a beginner reads even this, I can count to 10, read, listens, and repeat, he's already in this method. You cannot do it,
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Yeah.
but
Mhm.
you can guide him. That's why it is quite possible. And by the way, this method is used in exactly the same way for absolute beginners, for beginners, intermediate, and advanced students. That is the beauty of it. And it is excellent that you know Daniel Kahneman, who received Nobel Prize for his discovery and for his use of subconscious training. He used it not for languages, and he received his Nobel Prize for using subconscious training in economics. I was the first who invented this method and used it for learning languages. And to ensure it, I remind you, it's very simple. If you do 3 actions, you are already in subconscious training. If you do 2 actions, that is, for example, reading, or reading and listening, or speaking, is conscious. It cannot be subconscious. And that's why it's a very simple criterion. You can be ensured that you use subconscious training when your students does 3 actions at the same time.
Yeah, no, I have no question actually, but I like the idea that really you can improve speaking, listening, intonation, by the way, also fluency, and lots of things thanks to this, to your application. And yeah, I know that I do know how to use it in the class. I having some ideas even popping up in my mind even right now. So maybe I'm quite interested in trying to use such kind of an application. Yeah, it's a good idea. Thank you so much.
You are most welcome, Sophia. Also, be careful. Careful, I mean, do not try to modify it. The reason why I'm saying it, if you try or if you have any suggestions, let's discuss them together. Because to develop this method, it took me 30 years. And
Yeah, sure, absolutely.
every step here is thought over 30 times. And that even in my application, which you download from Google Play Store, and you can download it now and use it, you will see that there's every line has one image in the line. It's not a flowing text. It's only a one
Mhm.
image in the line. And at a certain point, I use certain colors, etc., etc. So there are some moments which you may use or augment, but be very careful, because some of them, for example, the most difficult part for a teacher to understand that you shouldn't make corrections. It's the most difficult part. And the corrections you can do, but you have to be very clever, and you have to do corrections in a way that the student would not notice that it is a correction. Okay? That is, you repeat the same sentence correctly and with
Yeah, I got it.
increased stress, etc. So he will hear it, understand it, but don't stress his error. That's most important. So if there are no more questions, I think that we can end now. I will end this session. And if you will have any questions, you may send me a message or email. Sophia, also, I recommend to connect with me if you can. Probably LinkedIn is not available in your country. But if it is available, connect with LinkedIn, a portal where many of my articles are placed, and you can read there a lot of portals and a lot of discussions. Now I end this session, and I wish you all the very best. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're most welcome.